Let's now get you some updates from South Africa, where South Africa's 2024 election is proving to be a bit of a watershed moment for the Rainbow Nation. The ruling party, the African National Congress, which has enjoyed a 30-year dominance of South African politics, appears to be losing out its absolute parliamentary majority. The ANC, which would have needed over 50% of all votes to form the government on its own, has seen its share decline to 40.27%. With almost about 99% of the votes having been counted, South Africa will be seeing its first coalition government since the apartheid era. These results stand in stark contrast to the 57.5% that the ANC had managed to win in the 2019 elections. Data that's been released by South Africa's Independent Electoral Commission highlights the Democratic Alliance is in the second position with about 22% of the votes, but it isn't the DA that has cut into the ANC's vote share. Former President Jacob Zuma's nascent party, the Umkhonto Wezi's party, or the MK party, has managed to get 14.8% of the vote share. Now, this is a bit of a surprising score for a party that was founded just months ago. Meanwhile, the Economic Freedom Fighters is currently in the fourth position with 9.4% of the vote share. And this marks a historic turning point for South Africa, as the ANC has enjoyed an absolute majority since 1994, when liberation leader Nelson Mandela had led the nation out of a white minority apartheid regime into a fledgling democracy. It's now all but certain that the ANC will have to seek out a coalition partner to form a government and to secure the presidency. Responding to the ANC's disappointing performance, Nelson Mandela's grandson has called upon the party to assess as to why the South Africans are losing faith in the party that had aided the nation into freedom from the apartheid era.
The reality is that when you move right on the outskirts of Cape Town into areas like Langa, Khayelitsha, Crossroads, you will really see that it is only the upper middle class and the rich that are benefiting from the services that the DA provides in the Western Cape. The poorest of the poor are still living without any access to clean drinkable water, without any proper sewer systems in place. They are living in shanty towns and in shacks.
Now, politicians and other political pundits are now turning their attention to the prospects of an ANC-led coalition. Parties have begun to process the process of setting terms of coalition talks. And to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening at this moment in South African politics, we're being joined by our correspondent, Calden Ong, who is joining us live from Johannesburg. Calden, this is something that was widely expected, that the ANC would fail in getting a clear majority on its own. So what happens next? Is it in talks for a coalition partner? And which are the parties that are most likely to form a coalition with the ANC at this moment?
Well, Mohammed, very interesting times here in South Africa as the ANC losing its majority for the very first time. It's a historical moment here in South Africa. You can see behind me hosts of media, journalists here, political party. In fact, so many political party leaders have started coming in and having talks with one another, not formal talks on negotiations on the coalition, but they're shaking hands. We've seen many parties shaking hands with one another. Democratic Alliance, the main opposition party, not ruling out any parties to work with. ANC kept mum on who they're talking with, but they say, we'll see. But first, they will have to have a meeting amongst themselves. They are likely to call for ANC NEC meeting. NEC is the highest decision-making body of ANC. They're going to have their own discussions there, and then from there on, they're going to take it. However, what the ANC says, they are ready to work with anyone where if the policies are matched. ANC also, some of the political analysts and experts stating that, a few of them saying the best bet would be for ANC and DA to club together. But they remember, ANC also is very factional. There's no unanimity within ANC member itself. Some are also suggesting that ANC could work with EFF as well as Umkhonto we Sizwe. That's the next party. But the big question is, will ANC work with MK? Because former President Jacob Zuma, as well as the members of the MK party, has already stated very clearly that they will not go into coalition with the ANC as long as Cyril Ramaphosa is still leading the party. So for MK, the main problem is Cyril Ramaphosa still heading that. But we are also hearing talks that within the ANC itself, the officials on the of the top brass, they're talking in terms of Cyril Ramaphosa's future. I tried to speak to some of the ANC officials who are here. They kept mum. They do not want to speak out anything.
Right.
They're being very careful. But some of the opposition party that has been holding media briefing, they say they're open to have talks with anyone. At the end of the day, they said South Africans want to change. They got change, and now they're going to work for the people of South Africa.
Very interesting. Now, Calden, looking at the way the numbers have panned out, and also to talk a bit about Jacob Zuma and the party that he joined, MK, which came into existence just a few months ago. It has managed to get about 14% of the votes of the South Africans. So how is the ANC looking at the performance of Jacob Zuma's MK party? Are they looking at this, the fact that they've lost the majority, as a decline because of their own inefficiencies? Or is this being more viewed as a case of a rebellion of Jacob Zuma, who broke away from the ANC, who started his MK party, and now he's got 14% of the votes?
Well, the ANC chairperson, Gwede Mantashe himself on court said they are shocked by the number of support or the votes that MK got in KwaZulu-Natal, which is one of the most important provinces for ANC. And remember that ANC lost in KwaZulu-Natal, and never before had ANC lost in KwaZulu-Natal, and this is the very first time. They've got a huge support base there, even though he said a very controversial remarks on saying, the only reason Umkhonto we Sizwe got votes in KZN is because of the Zulu nationality there. So Gwede Mantashe got into a bit of trouble in that. But however, yes, we can say a large chunk of ANC voters in KwaZulu-Natal voted for Umkhonto we Sizwe. Like you mentioned in your question, that ANC had their own share of problems, the factionalism within the ANC, and also the corruption allegations, and some of them even saying that ANC has been very arrogant over the last 3 decades, and they were very relaxed. So this is a time of awakening for ANC. If they do not pull up their socks here, come the local elections in the next 2 years, they're going to lose more support. So they do agree that a chunk of their vote was taken from by Jacob Zuma and his supporters.
Right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Calden Ongu, for joining us and getting us those details. We'll of course come back to you as more details emerge in the developing story there in South Africa. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.